Welcome to the Bible and Revelations. I am Lopez, the Executive Director of Ozark Hunger Relief. I am trying to get a sponsor to open a food pantry and office in Prairie Grove, Arkansas. My primary goal is to have a safe place for hungry kids to go and get a meal when the school is closed. Well, I hope you enjoy the Bible. Here we go with Genesis 38. And it came to pass at that time that Judah went down from his brethren and turned into a certain Adullamite, whose name was Hirah. And Judah saw there a daughter of a certain Canaanite, whose name was Shua. And he took her, and went in unto her. And she conceived, and bare a son, and he called his name Er. And she conceived again, and bare a son, and she called his name Onan. And she yet again conceived, and bare a son, and called his name Shelah. And he was at Chezib, when she bare him. And Judah took a wife for Er his firstborn, whose name was Tamar. And Er, Judah's firstborn, was wicked in the sight of the Lord, and the Lord slew him. And Judah said unto Onan, Go in unto thy brother's wife, and marry her, and raise up seed to thy brother. And Onan knew that the seed should not be his. And it came to pass, when he went in unto his brother's wife, that he spilled it on the ground, lest that he should give seed to his brother. And the thing which he did displeased the Lord, wherefore he slew him also. Then said Judah to Tamar his daughter-in-law, Remain a widow at thy father's house, till Shelah my son be grown. For he said, Lest peradventure he die also, as his brethren did. And Tamar went and dwelt in her father's house. And in process of time the daughter of Shua Judah's wife died, and Judah was comforted, and went up unto his sheepshearers to Timnath, he and his friend Hirah the Adullamite. And it was told Tamar, saying, Behold, thy father-in-law goeth up to Timnath to shear his sheep. And she put her widow's garments off from her, and covered her with a veil, and wrapped herself, and sat in an open place, which is by the way to Timnath. For she saw that Shelah was grown, and she was not given unto him to wife. When Judah saw her, he thought her to be an harlot, because she had covered her face. And he turned unto her by the way, and said, Go to, I pray thee, let me come in unto thee. For he knew not that she was his daughter-in-law. And she said, What wilt thou give me, that thou mayest come in unto me? And he said, I will send thee a kid from the flock. And she said, Wilt thou give me a pledge, till thou send it? And he said, What pledge shall I give thee? And she said, Thy signet, and thy bracelets, and thy staff that is in thine hand. And he gave it her, and came in unto her, and she conceived by him. And she arose, and went away, and laid by her veil from her, and put on the garments of her widowhood. And Judah sent the kid by the hand of his friend the Adullamite, to receive his pledge from the woman's hand, but he found her not. Then he asked the men of that place, saying, Where is the harlot that was openly by the wayside? And they said, There was no harlot in this place. And he returned to Judah, and said, I cannot find her. And also the men of the place said, that there was no harlot in this place. And Judah said, Let her take it to her, lest we be shamed. Behold, I sent this kid, and thou hast not found her. And it came to pass about 3 months after, that it was told Judah, saying, Tamar thy daughter-in-law hath played the harlot. And also, behold, she is with child by whoredom. And Judah said, Bring her forth, and let her be burnt. When she was brought forth, she sent her father-in-law, saying, By the man, whose these are, am I with child. And she said, Discern, I pray thee, whose are these, the signet, and bracelets, and staff. And Judah acknowledged them, and said, She hath been more righteous than I, because that I gave her not to Shelah my son. And he knew her again no more. And it came to pass in the time of her travail, that, behold, twins were in her womb. And it came to pass, when she travailed, that the one put out his hand, and the midwife took and bound upon his hand a scarlet thread, saying, This came out first. And it came to pass, as he drew back his hand, that, behold, his brother came out. And she said, How hast thou broken forth? This breach be upon thee. Therefore his name was called Pharez. And afterward came out his brother, that had the scarlet thread upon his hand, and his name was called Zara. Okay, here is a summary of Genesis 38 is a chapter in the Bible that delves into the story of Judah, one of Jacob's sons, and his interactions with Tamar, his daughter-in-law. This narrative is interwoven with themes of deception, justice, and the preservation of lineage. And Joseph was brought down to Egypt, and Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh, captain of the guard, an Egyptian, bought him of the hands of the Ishmaelites, which had brought him down thither. And the Lord was with Joseph, and he was a prosperous man, and he was in the house of his master the Egyptian. And his master saw that the Lord was with him, and that the Lord made all that he did to prosper in his hand. And Joseph found grace in his sight, and he served him. And he made him overseer over his house, and all that he put into his hand. And it came to pass from the time that he had made him overseer in his house, and over all that he had, that the Lord blessed the Egyptian's house for Joseph's sake, and the blessing of the Lord was upon all that he had in the house, and in the field. And he left all that he had in Joseph's hand, and he knew not aught he had, save the bread which he did eat. And Joseph was a goodly person, and well favored. And it came to pass after these things, that his master's wife cast her eyes upon Joseph, and she said, Lie with me. But he refused, and said unto his master's wife, Behold, my master wotteth not what is with me in the house, and he hath committed all that he hath to my hand. There is none greater in this house than I, neither hath he kept back anything from me but thee, because thou art his wife. How then can I do this great wickedness, and sin against God? And it came to pass, as she spake to Joseph day by day, that he hearkened not unto her, to lie by her, or to be with her. And it came to pass about this time, that Joseph went into the house to do his business, and there was none of the men of the house there within. And she caught him by his garment, saying, Lie with me. And he left his garment in her hand, and fled, and got him out. And it came to pass, when she saw that he had left his garment in her hand, and was fled forth, that she called unto the men of her house, and spake unto them, saying, See, he hath brought in Hebrew unto us to mock us. He came in unto me to lie with me, and I cried with a loud voice. And it came to pass, when he heard that I lifted up my voice and cried, that he left his garment with me, and fled, and got him out. And she laid up his garment by her, until his lord came home. And she spake unto him according to these words, saying, The Hebrew servant, which thou hast brought unto us, came in unto me to mock me. And it came to pass, as I lifted up my voice and cried, that he left his garment with me, and fled out. And it came to pass, when his master heard the words of his wife, which she spake unto him, saying, After this manner did thy servant to me, that his wrath was kindled. And Joseph's master took him, and put him into the prison, a place where the king's prisoners were bound, and he was there in the prison. But the Lord was with Joseph, and shewed him mercy, and gave him favor in the sight of the keeper of the prison. And the keeper of the prison committed to Joseph's hand all the prisoners that were in the prison, and whatsoever they did there, he was the doer of it. The keeper of the prison looked not to anything that was under his hand, because the Lord was with him, and that which he did, the Lord made it to prosper. This is a plain English summary of Genesis 39. Genesis 39 recounts the story of Joseph's experiences in Egypt, focusing on his rise to prominence and his moral integrity in the face of temptation. This chapter highlights themes of divine providence, personal righteousness, and the consequences of false accusations. Joseph in Potiphar's household. After being sold into slavery by his brothers, Joseph is taken to Egypt and sold to Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh and captain of the guard. Despite his status as a slave, Joseph's exceptional abilities and work ethic quickly earn him favor in Potiphar's eyes. Recognizing Joseph's competence and that the Lord was with him, Potiphar entrusts him with the management of his entire household and all his possessions. Under Joseph's stewardship, Potiphar's household prospers greatly, as God blesses everything Joseph oversees. Joseph's rise to prominence in Potiphar's house underscores his dedication, skill, and the visible presence of God's favor in his life. His success serves as a testament to how faithfulness and diligence can lead to blessings, even in adverse circumstances. Temptation by Potiphar's wife. Joseph's integrity is put to the test when Potiphar's wife takes notice of his physical attractiveness and attempts to seduce him. She repeatedly invites him to lie with her, but Joseph steadfastly refuses. He explains his reasons, emphasizing loyalty to Potiphar, who has entrusted him with everything except his wife, and his commitment to God, stating that committing such an act would be a great wickedness and a sin against God. Despite her persistent advances, Joseph remains resolute, avoiding any situations where he might be alone with her. This part of the narrative highlights Joseph's unwavering moral character and his fear of God, which guide his actions even in the face of relentless temptation. His refusal to betray his master or compromise his principles reflects his deep sense of responsibility and righteousness. The false accusation. One day, when Joseph is alone in the house, Potiphar's wife seizes the opportunity to grab him by his garment and demands that he lie with her. Joseph flees, leaving his garment in her hands as he runs outside. Humiliated and angered by his rejection, Potiphar's wife fabricates a story, accusing Joseph of attempting to assault her. She presents his garment as evidence to support her false claim. When Potiphar hears his wife's accusations, he becomes enraged and has Joseph thrown into prison. This unjust punishment marks a significant turning point in Joseph's life, as he transitions from a position of power and trust to one of disgrace and imprisonment. Despite the injustice, Joseph's response remains consistent with his character. He does not retaliate or lose faith in God. Joseph in prison. Even in prison, Joseph continues to exhibit exceptional qualities. The Lord's presence with him becomes evident as he earns the trust of the prison warden. Just as in Potiphar's house, Joseph's diligence and leadership lead to his promotion. The warden places Joseph in charge of all the prisoners and administrative duties within the prison. Once again, everything under Joseph's care prospers as the Lord blesses his work. This section of the chapter demonstrates Joseph's resilience and his ability to maintain faith and integrity despite unjust circumstances. His ability to thrive in adversity serves as a powerful example of how divine providence can work through human suffering and trials. Themes and lessons. Divine providence. Genesis 39 underscores the presence and guidance of God in Joseph's life. Despite being sold into slavery and falsely accused, Joseph's experiences illustrate that God's plans are at work even in the midst of hardship. Moral integrity. Joseph's refusal to succumb to Potiphar's wife's advances highlights his commitment to righteousness and his fear of God. His actions demonstrate the importance of maintaining moral principles, even when faced with persistent temptation. Resilience in adversity. Joseph's ability to prosper in both Potiphar's house and prison showcases his resilience and trust in God. His story serves as an encouragement to remain faithful and diligent, regardless of life's challenges. The consequences of false accusations. The chapter highlights the destructive power of false accusations and the suffering they can cause. However, it also emphasizes that God's justice ultimately prevails, as seen in Joseph's eventual rise to prominence in later chapters. In the end, Genesis 39 is a compelling chapter that portrays Joseph's faith, integrity, and perseverance in the face of adversity. Through his experiences, the narrative illustrates how God's presence can transform even the most difficult circumstances into opportunities for growth and blessing. Joseph's story serves as a timeless reminder of the power of faith, the importance of moral integrity, and the workings of divine providence. If you want to help and donate to Ozark Hunger Relief, email me at ozarkhunger@gmail.com. Thank you very much, and God bless you.